everybody, and welcome to this episode of VETchat. Today, I'm delighted to welcome our guest, Keisha Swaby. Keisha is a devoted wife and mother of 4 beautiful children. She is the author of Empowering Dyslexics, Blessed and Gifted, a powerful book written to educate, inspire, and create more awareness of dyslexia. The book shares Keisha's journey of undiagnosed dyslexia and dyspraxia up until her diagnosis at the age of 41. Keisha is also an international inspirational speaker. She is one of the top 50 influential neurodivergent women on the Northern Power Women Future list and is part of the WeAreTheCity 100 list. Keisha's on a mission to inspire, educate, empower, and create more awareness of dyslexia and dyspraxia. So welcome to VETchat. It's wonderful to have you with me today.
Oh, thank you so much, Kathryn. Thank you.
So neurodiversity in the veterinary profession, it's really starting to get a lot of attention now, which is amazing.
Yeah.
So on previous episodes of VETchat, we've discussed neurodiverse conditions such as autism and ADHD, and they were really well received by our listeners. So we wanted to keep the awareness and the conversations going. So today it's brilliant to have you here to discuss dyslexia, which is something that we haven't yet covered. So thank you so much. Really appreciate you being here.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you very much.
So do you mind just telling us a little bit about your personal experiences with dyslexia?
Yeah, definitely. I grew up in Jamaica at the age of 14, I got the opportunity to come to the UK. However, when I was growing up in Jamaica, I was having a lot of struggles in school, really behind with certain things, having some challenges that I didn't know what was going on at the time. And in school, I really developed a phobia of maths because until today, I still don't like maths because when we didn't know our times table, we used to get a strike in our hand with a belt, for remembering our times table. So that was going on at the time. And when I came to the UK at 14, things was really difficult. I started to come into a new country, left all my family behind back in Jamaica. And when I came in June, I started school in September. So you can imagine the sun coming from the sunshine, great food, everything else, and then starting school in September when it's so cold. And I started school and it just started becoming more apparent really because the challenges were there and coming from a different country with a different curriculum that we were studying and I just didn't understand any of it at all. So, and when I started school, I got bullied because of my accent, the way that I sounded. I was a new girl on the block, and everybody wanted to take the mick, really. So I got bullied. So that caused me to mute myself for a long time. So I didn't want to speak. I didn't want to speak up in class because I felt stupid and I didn't want to be the one who, really stands out, already getting bullied. So why I'm going to put myself out there a bit more. So yeah, that was going on, and I also had the undiagnosed condition of dyspraxia, which I didn't know about at the time. So hence, when I was in school, I would often drop things in PE. I'd often struggle. I loved netball, but catching the ball sometimes was my coordination wouldn't work in my body and my legs at the same time. Often trip over as well. A lot of that was going on. Losing things. I remember my aunt used to have to always buy new PE kit for me because I'm always losing stuff, and that was due to the dyspraxia and all my organizational skills. So yeah, and fast forward, I left school without a single GCSE. I just didn't understand the curriculum that was being taught. I didn't get it. I didn't know anything about the Industrial Revolution. I didn't know about the railway industry that was going on in the UK. So history for me, that's one of the biggest struggle. However, when I left school, no GCSEs, I was absolutely devastated. I remember my grand driving all the way from Manchester with my aunt to come to the school to collect that piece of paper that you get with the results. And when I got there and opened it, I just told them what I got, and it was just, you could tell really, because you want the best for your grandchildren or whoever you're with, yeah. So, but I was determined because I actually love reading and I love words. And I thought, you know what, I am not gonna not just satisfy with just leaving school without a GCSE. So I went on to achieve my English language when I moved to Manchester in 1994.
Mhm.
Yeah, so yeah, there's so much to talk about. I'm gonna give you a chance
Yeah.
now to ask another question or something. Could talk forever.
Oh no, thank you for that. That must have been so, so tough. And obviously, because you got diagnosed so later in life, you just
Yeah,
had no idea.
no idea.
No.
So
So,
I guess, I mean, linking it to the veteran services that you provide, I mean, it's things like being dyslexic in that area, you have so much more big thinking skills, but we'll come on a little bit more to that later on,
mhm,
when we touch a bit deeper into that.
yeah, okay, brilliant. So, how would you explain dyslexia to somebody who might not be familiar with the condition?
Okay, so every dyslexic person may have their own different challenges. If you
Mhm,
meet two dyslexic people, you just met one, you just met one, you just met one because we're all so different in our own way, and the things and the strengths and the challenges that we all have is different. And then you have to think about the other things that's against me intersectionalities, such as race, gender, all of those things that come with it as well. So for me, the way dyslexia showed up in my life and all the way through was I was always I always struggle to retain information. So memory was a problem, always been a problem, still is today. Because dyslexia is not something that you can get over. It's a hereditary condition. So if someone has it in your family, more chances are it's going to pass down to someone as generations go on. So for me, it was remembering things. I'd be writing things, but I miss words out, or I put it in the wrong place, or it's in the wrong context. So comprehension has always been a difficult thing. So writing reports was a struggle. So and I'm going to give you some tips and stuff later on, how you can help with that in regards to the profession that you're in. But for me, it showed up in a way of I am brilliant at other things like communication, my empathy skills, networking, connecting with people, connecting the bigger picture, seeing the bigger picture, my creative skills. Hence, I do what I do in the creative arts, because that's how we work. So for me, the challenge is I'll write something. I remember when I was doing my degree and my master's, the challenges that I was having there a lot was apparent, and it became a lot more apparent recently, last week or so. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that later on. But the for me, it's comprehension,
mhm,
following instructions. So if you gave me an IKEA thing, don't expect that I'm going to sit there and read the whole instruction of it because I'm gonna not going to retain it. But if I
right,
try to do it hands-on, because I'm a visual person, I'll be able
mhm,
to do it. I might just do it without even looking at it because my vision sees things differently and my creativity. So there's a lot of elements really. I'd put post out on Facebook and things like that, and there's a word missing or there's something not right. So it's my literacy, all of those things, but doesn't mean that it has anything to do with the intelligence and the way you are and the IQ and everything else. But for
mhm,
everyone, it's completely different. Yeah. So
yeah,
those lists, yeah.
okay, brilliant. And do you think that could be a common misconception about dyslexia? Like, do you think sometimes people think you're not intelligent because of these things?
I get that a lot, and this is why I've always been champion awareness, especially in the Black community, because the simple thing is there's so many myths and misconceptions about dyslexia and the lack of awareness and understanding of it, where people think that, oh, I cannot disclose that I'm dyslexic, especially in the workplace, because people are going to think less of me. They're going to think that I'm not bright enough, not clever enough, I'm not capable, and that comes from the lack of people for a long time. People hasn't been championing the greatness of being dyslexic, so I own it personally for me as my superpower, and that's what it makes me the person that I am, and it's a massive part of me, and I can't change that. Whilst because of the misconceptions and the embarrassment, the stigma, the shame that attached to it, a lot of people just won't open up and own it and say that I am dyslexic because of opinions, really. Yeah,
Yeah, it must be so tough. And I think it's incredible what you're doing. I think the more that people,
yeah,
speak up, the more awareness there'll be, and the more,
yeah,
support there'll be out there, more inclusive workplaces.
definitely. Yeah.
Absolutely. Do you want to become a part of the largest online veterinary community in the world? The WebinarVets membership is the perfect tool to easily complete your veterinary CPD or CE. Watch webinars anytime, any place, on any connected device. Become a member today and explore our library of over 2,000 premium quality webinars. We also care about the environment as well as your CPD or CE. That's why we plant trees for every one of our members. To find out more, visit thewebinarvet.com/memberships or click on the membership tab on our website. Okay, brilliant. So you touched on it briefly just before, but what sort of ways have you found to kind of work around these challenges? Any sort of tips about how to overcome them?
Definitely. And I'm going to touch on the side of the profession and the industry that you're in. I mean, for example, you may have people within that service that they don't even know that they're dyslexic. You know, they might have seen things in their life that keep showing up, but they've not looked deep and think, you know, I might be dyslexic, and then going back again to the awareness, the understanding of it, people just not getting what it is. But for me, in the work tips, it's like reports. So someone who's dyslexic or suspected undiagnosed dyslexia, I'm going to give you tips in regards to the workplace and profession now. So things like writing reports, ensuring that you have somebody else to check your work, because we often make silly little errors in there. Doesn't mean that it's got anything to do with the quality of the work, but it's just little bleepers might get in there somewhere. So having in the workplace, having that support, having that openness as well and awareness, so that people don't feel ashamed to come and speak to their team leader, the manager, or the boss, whoever it may be in that workplace, to say, you know what, I've noticed something going on with me, or the fact that I may have dyslexia, or I may have something going on. Because what happens is with neurodiversity, once you have something going on, there's possibly an overlap of other conditions. For example,
Yeah.
for me, mine is I also have a bit of ADHD thrown in there as well because of the overlap of the way things are with the conditions. So yeah, in the workplace, ensuring that things are checked properly, ensuring that you create an atmosphere that people can be open to talk about a diagnosis, whether they're undiagnosed or they know something they have been diagnosed, ensuring that the workplace is kind of welcoming and understand these things so that the colleagues can support them. You know, it's a simple little thing like asking another colleague to say, you know, I've written this report, or can you check um, this pets report and what I've written around about it, to say make sure that everything makes sense, and also ensuring that they're not too much information overload as well. If you're giving out information, not chunks and chunks of paragraphs, bullet point, straight to the information. No long meetings either, because your brain get really tired in a while after a while, and so meetings can really take a lot of energy out of you. Ensuring that you are taking time out as well. That's very, very key, especially self-care, taking the time out to look after yourself, and because you can become overwhelmed with all the information, all that's going on around you, and have things like sensory as well. Yeah, a lot of that.
Okay, brilliant. Oh no, that's great advice. Thank you.
Yeah.
Do you mind if we touch a little bit on now about your diagnosis? Like, how did that happen at
Yeah.
the age of 41? Because that is, a lot of people might think that is quite late on in
Right,
life.
okay. So I was in the workplace and I worked for local government for a long time. So I spent 17 years in the corporate world. However, in local government, 2016, there was a lot going on, and I started going through a lot of things. So firstly, I was suffering from anxiety, really bad anxiety, because I was just struggling, really struggling on my own and not knowing what was going on. Then I had depression also going on at the time. And so when I was in the workplace, I decided. I remember driving to work one day and I had to pull over on the sidewalk and call my husband. I was crying, and then I called my workplace and said, I really can't come in today because I was just palpitations. I'm really struggling. And we had a chat, me and my husband, because we've got 4 children. It was not an easy decision. So he said, you have to do something about this. This is really, you know, it's affecting your health in a massive way, affecting our home life. So I decided to. I've always had a dream of achieving a degree, because when I came to the UK, my grandma always sent me to houses, and they always have this cap and gown thing. And I always thought one day, you know, I'd really like to know what you need to do to get that. And one day I'm going to do it. So 2016, I thought, right, this is the time now. I need to go and do my degree. I need to continue studying. Gave up my job, applied for a foundation degree because I left school with no GCSE, so I had to start from the bottom. Did my foundation degree, passed that. Still going on with the struggling in the background whilst we are studying, because imagine spending 17 years in the corporate world and then having to learn how to reference, how to write academically to sound in the way that it should do. And there was all this going on at the time. So after done my foundation degree, I went on to do the top-up degree that gives me the full BSc. So when I was doing it, I was still struggling a lot of things, and I was getting through it, but I was working really hard, really, really hard. And one day I thought I'm gonna make an effort to get someone to check my work because I'm coming up to the end of it now. Dissertation needs to be done. And during my dissertation, I had this lady in the library called Leslie, and we became really good friends. And she always said to me, you know, if you want any work to check, just bring it in and check it. So I did that one day and I thought, let Leslie check my work. Sent it to Leslie, and lo and behold, the spell checker wasn't working on my laptop. So when she got it, she read it through and put all the stuff that I highlighted in there. And she said to me, I went back to her and she said to me, Keisha, I didn't know that you're dyslexic. And honestly, Kathryn, that was the most life-changing moment that woman has. She's changed my life so much. Even last night I was speaking to her because she made it and she said, yeah, I see the way you write things because I have a brother who is also dyslexic. And I was like, right, wow. It's like the light came through the ceiling in the
Oh.
library. I was stood there and I was like, gosh, dyslexia, right. So I was leaving, so I had to get everything done because I'd have to pay for it. So they got me diagnosed, 3 hours of tests. And I remember the lady saying to me, I don't know how you got this far in your studies. You are severely dyslexic and dyspraxic. And I was like, okay. Right. So that changed everything for me, totally changed my life because finally, I knew what it was and I was able to understand myself more. Why did I do things the way I do things? And when I found that out, it was life changing because then I thought I have to go on now and be an advocate for not just myself. My children are also neurodiverse. So I've got a daughter who's 22, she's dyspraxic. My one number two is dyspraxic, confirmed dyspraxic, and boy going through ADHD testing. So it's in my family, so it's very close to my heart. So when I found out, that changed, and I started all my advocacy work and doing all the work to make things better for people who are dyslexic, really. Mm.
Wow, that's incredible. So had it not been for your spell checker not working, you still might
I
never have
know,
known.
had no, it's all starts. I put it down to the way things work in your life is sometimes you have to give up the good for the great because I was in a good job, everything else, and then if I could have stayed in that job forever and just get my pension and just retire my walking stick from there, but there was something else that was calling, and
Yeah.
out of all the pain that I've gone through, it's come amazing purpose and the passion, and to make a difference, really, not just for myself, but everyone. I don't want anyone to go through the life and be diagnosed in the 40s with dyslexia or dyspraxia.
No, it's incredible. So if people are listening to your story now and are maybe thinking, you know, that could be me, I could be struggling in this way because of this.
Yeah,
Are there any sort of like support systems out there, or what sort of steps would you
definitely,
advise for people listening?
definitely. Anyone out there who suspect anything, especially with your children as well, also that's a massive thing. If you have children, keep an eye on them and their learning styles, keep an eye on what they're passionate about, keep an eye on what they struggle with, in the schooling. That's how I identified what my children, how to support them and help them. That's key. So anyone who's out there, the most important thing is to talk to other people who are going through the same thing. It's so important that you can have that relatability because when I speak to another dyslexic and when we share our story, it's so relevant, different in various elements, but very, very close to what we go through. So speaking up, getting the right support. So you have organizations like British BDA, which is the British Dyslexic Association.
Okay.
They can go into that. They can reach out to me if they wanted to help because what I find a lot of people who are studying tend to reach out to me that are struggling in the academia with the work support as well. So it's important to have that network around you of people who understand, and don't be ashamed. Don't be ashamed. Not just you that's going through that. I noticed when I opened up and came out that I was dyslexic, so many people were coming to me and saying, I've been struggling for so long, but I didn't know because no one was talking about it. And now here you are talking about it, and we connect. You really do connect. So getting that support, talking to person is talking to people. And if you do get diagnosed, learn to understand and work with your strengths rather than focus on your weaknesses. The challenges that you have, don't get hung up on them. If you are hung up on certain things in your work or whatever, do things like skill swap. I'm really big on this where if Kathryn, you've got a task that you want doing, but I might be able to do it better because that's my forte. It might be a flyer to do, but I'm more creative in that way. So you can swap vice versa and get somebody else to, if you don't like do reports, get somebody else to do it, and then you do something that else they don't like. So those all the things that they're out there can help you really, and just be open, don't hide in silence and suffer.
Yeah, that's brilliant advice. Thank you. And you're on Facebook, did you say? Is that the
I'm on
best place for
Facebook, I'm
people to reach
LinkedIn.
out?
My whole network is on LinkedIn of neurodiversity. So I'm Keisha Swaby on LinkedIn, same on Facebook, and also on Instagram, and Empowering Dyslexics 777 on Instagram as well. You can connect with me and reach out to me. You may just have a question. You may think that's a silly question, but no question is a silly question. So just reach out and ask me.
Oh, thank you. And what we'll do when we release this on the blog, we'll put the links to all those so people can
Yeah,
find you easily on the
that's
webinar
great.
there.
Thank you.
Okay, wonderful. We're just running out of time already, but is there anything that we've not kind of gone over that you'd really like to mention to our listeners?
Yeah, I'd like to touch a little bit on dyspraxia because we touched a little, but a lot of people don't know much about dyspraxia. So dyspraxia is like a coordination development disorder, and what happens is when your brain is not connecting with your senses not connecting with your body at the same time. For example, challenges I have is I may be walking up a stairs and I trip up the stairs, or I trip down the stairs because my mind is not telling my feet to step in the when it should step. So those things, catching a ball, simple little things like, I always have this as a joke. I'm the only Black woman who's unable to do the candy dance, which is a traditional dance that we do in our culture. And I have the rhythm, but my coordination to do it is just not there. Whilst, I can so great at other things, dropping things as well. I used to, when I was growing up, I used to get called clumsy quite a lot because I'd walk into chair, walk into the road. I do walk into the road as well. Walk into doors, everything, So it's those things. Trip over, might be just walking and just tripping over myself constantly. Yeah, remembering things as well. Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you. Oh, well, thank you so much. And I just also wanted to mention your book, because I know that you've incredibly written a book amongst everything else that you're doing.
Yes.
So again, we'll put that on the blog. I'm gonna get a copy myself for my holidays. I'm really looking forward to reading it.
Oh, thank you, Kathryn. Thank
well,
you.
no, thank you so much for joining me today to talk about dyslexia and to touch upon dyspraxia as well. Maybe we should do another podcast on that as well and give that
definitely.
attention.
Yeah, because dyslexics tend to get a lot of attention. However, dyspraxia is often not so much is known about it as such. Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. That would be great. But thank you so much. I've really, really enjoyed.
You're welcome. Thanks for
listening.
inviting me. Thank you.
Oh, no problem. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Take care. Bye.